you first. They're going to hear my voice as I introduce you, so just know that you're on TV. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, and then the director will switch back and forth depending on who's talking. That's going to be you most of the time. Okay, are you ready? Representative, you're ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, less than a minute and a half. I'm just going to be quiet, and then I'll relay some prompts to you so you know when we're starting.
All right, thank you. I'm on camera.
1 minute. Here we go. And it is pronounced Friel, right?
Correct. That is correct.
Good. $30 seconds. Remember, be patient. I will get to your legislation eventually. Don't worry. Representative Paul Friel, Pennsylvania has a program called the PA 529 that helps parents save for their kids' education. How does it work?
Well, the 529 program has been around for a bit, and it allows parents or anyone to save for their kids' education, post-secondary education. So whether you're saving for college or whether you're saving for schooling after high school, whether it be a trade or something else, allows you to do that and have a tax-deferred or a tax-free way of doing that. So you can put that money into the savings account before tax is taken out in payroll.
What other advantages do you suppose there are, Representative Friel, to having an account like this? Because after all, there are several ways to save for your kids' education.
Yeah, and the 529 accounts, I think there's a tax benefit for doing that, and you can start it early. You can pass that 529 on to your kids if they don't use all of the funding in that program for college or for education. There are ways that they can take that money back out, and you can use it for something other than that if you're the owner of the account. So I think the 529s or any program that helps you save and make college more affordable or education post high school more affordable is a good thing. And the more we can encourage parents and grandparents to start these accounts for kids, I think the better we are.
Who's allowed to have a PA 529 savings account?
Well, if it's a PA 2529 savings account, anybody who's an employee or a parent in Pennsylvania can do that. Mm-hmm. A lot of the employer accounts, and you'll see that throughout, it's not just Pennsylvania's 529 account, but other states as well through payroll deductions here in PA for any employer, or if you want to start a savings account through that, you have a lot of options out there.
And how are contributions to the 529 program determined?
I'm sorry. Repeat that question.
The question is how are the contributions determined? The amount of the contributions determined to the 529 program.
So that's something you have to decide how much you can contribute to. Are you asking how much is available on a tax-free basis each year, or?
Well, just in general, Representative, are there any limitations? This is a decision that would ultimately be made by the person who's contributing, I suppose. I guess, are there any rules for contributions? Let's rephrase the question that way.
Yeah, there are some rules, and you'd have to look at your own program to see the amounts that you can contribute each year to take advantage of the tax benefits. But you determine how much you put in to your savings account for your children, for each of your children. So it's really something that you can determine and decide what's right for your family.
Now, beyond tuition, what can these contributions be spent on?
So it's not just college tuition. There's other programs like trade schools, any type of education, whether it be job related. So it doesn't necessarily have to be college. There's also a component of the program that helps folks with special needs and gives assistance there. That is also part of the program, and it's quite flexible.
Now, I understand there are two kinds of plans within the 529 program, and one of them is called the Guaranteed Savings Plan. And I'm going to read you what the website says about that. If you elect this plan, you can save enough for a semester of college today, and you're covered for increases in the future. So that sounds good, of course, but how is that possible?
Well, I guess I don't know the answer to that. Honestly, the 529 program, if you're doing the guaranteed savings for increases, that's something that's you're going to have to ask our treasurer how they invest that program and what the increases that are allowed under that. I'm not sure what the caps are and what the increases that come under there.
Well, here's another plan. We just talked about the Guaranteed Savings Plan, and you said that the Treasury oversees that. The other plan is called the Investment Plan. And so I understand you might elect this program if you have more of a tolerance for risk. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, and that's more of a traditional where you're picking your investments and you're picking the type of risk profile you want, and then the market determines those returns. And that's more what you'd see in a traditional, like a 401k or something else you might be in a typical retirement savings plan that you're doing, where you have those options. This plan acts a lot like that.
So, Representative, now we have a basic understanding of the PA 529 college savings program. And so let's get to legislative changes that have recently taken place, and that's why we have you on today. Why did you get involved in making changes to the PA 529 tuition program?
Well, one of the most important things I thought is we have to attract more people to participate in these plans and start saving earlier. We also want to get small businesses and businesses in general to help, and add a benefit to employees. So what we did is enacted the 529 TAP Act, and that's a tax program that allows businesses to contribute under a matching plan for employees who are saving for their families. And the idea behind it is another tool in the toolbox for businesses to add benefits to employees. And it's a way to get younger employees and incent them to contribute to a plan earlier and start saving for college earlier. And so those are the two benefits that we thought about when we were talking about how can we help people and incent people to enroll in these programs, and also incent businesses to contribute on behalf of employees. And we know we have issues with, employee retention and workforce development. And we just thought this was another tool we can add to really help our businesses become more attractive employers.
Now, anyone who watches the legislative process on PCN knows that a bill undergoes changes. And I understand this bill originated in your chamber, the House, and then when it went to the Senate, they did make a substantial change. And that had to do with the matching the contribution component, didn't it? That's
correct. The original legislation just was the tax credit program for employers to contribute to 529 on behalf of employees and their families. When it went over to the Senate, by the way, that passed the House unanimously here in Pennsylvania, went over to the Senate. They liked the bill as well. They added the match component. So there is a requirement, there's employee match when you contribute, when employers set this up, or when you set this up to an employer. There's an employer and a requirement now for an employee match on that savings program. It's a good program. I think it incents both the employer and the employee to start saving and saving early. And so we're excited that this became law and became part of the budget this year.
So talk more about the advantages for businesses to participate in this program. In other words, there's a tax credit at stake. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so businesses can contribute, and they can get up to 25% of the tax credit, up to $500 per employee that they contribute to that 529 savings plan. And really the advantage here is it's an incentive and a program that allows businesses to then claim that tax credit on up to that $500 on behalf of each employee that they contribute to.
What do you suppose the statement is that this new law can make about education and workforce development nowadays?
I think what it could say is this. I think this is an opportunity for businesses to help families plan for the future and be prepared for those education. We know college education is becoming more and more expensive. We know that whether it's a trade school or any other post-secondary education you do, there's a cost to it. And you have to start thinking about that earlier to make sure that you have money set aside for it. And anything that we can do to make it easier for families to start savings through their employers, that's a good program. I think it's going to be more widely adopted and more likely to start early if you're getting this benefit through your employer.
So, Representative Friel, did you expect the priority shown to this bill to happen? Because after all, it became part of the final budget package that Governor Shapiro signed. And like a lot of other bills, well, it simply could have been just left to lie there. But instead, it came to the front of the stage.
Yeah, and I think that's a recognition that saving for college, both for families and the college affordability discussions we've been having, and also small businesses and businesses in general, trying to attract and retain employees and provide them a path to make a better benefit there. I think it was a win-win on both sides of that equation, which is why I think was a bipartisan bill. Myself and my co-prime Kristen Marcel, Bucks County, and it went through. Once it passed the House unanimously, we had an indication that it was a popular bill. Then it went through the Senate, and as amended, I think that was a popular bill as well. So we thought we had something here that people liked and had a shot at being adopted into the budget, and ultimately it was. So we're pretty excited about it.
Representative, give us more of a glimpse behind the scenes. You mentioned the co-sponsor here, Kristen Marcel, and she is a Republican, and I'm always interested in finding out what brings legislators together to work on the same thing.
Well, but both Kristen Marcel and myself were school board members and newly elected to the state house. So we're both freshman members of the state house, and we've been working on education. That's something that both of us campaigned on, both of us have experience on. And so when I brought this bill to her, and I really, made a conscious effort to try to introduce legislation in a bipartisan way. I think it's really important to work together with our colleagues across the aisle and find common ground. And I think this was the easy thing to find common ground about.
Last question, Representative. How are you finding the job anyway, now that you've been elected?
It's an interesting learning curve. It's much different than anything I've done in the past. I was a business owner before that, and I was a corporate guy before that. So this is a different world for me. I find it pretty rewarding and pretty exciting. Every single day is something new. You get to learn something new, and you get to help your community. We help communities when we're doing community advocacy and bringing, whether it's grant funding or something back home, it's taking something like this that we think is a good idea and making it law. So we're really excited about it.
Representative Paul Friel, Democrat from Chester County, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. We appreciate it.
Okay, there you go. Can you hear me, Representative Friel? I can't.